Good afternoon, everyone. So I am Miss Majoy and I am one of the reporter in Mathematics 505, the teaching of geometry and trigonometry for teachers in mathematics. So together with Sir Ramon Bantayan, we are tasked to discuss to you the Pythagorean theorem. So my topic will be on the Pythagorean theorem, the definition in introduction, and the Pythagorean theorem application. But before I start with my discussion, let us have this bell ringer here. So let us try to solve for the value of x on item 1 to 2, and for item 3 and 4, let's try to evaluate. Okay, so for item number 1, we have this equation, x squared plus 7 is equal to 43. So what do you think is the value of x? Okay, so the value of x is positive or negative 6 because 43 minus 7 is 36 and the square root of 36 is positive or negative 6. So how about on item number 2? We have this equation 64 plus x squared is equal to 164. So what do you think is the answer, or what do you think is the value of x? Okay, the value of x is positive or negative 10 because 164 minus 64 is 100 and the square root of 100 is positive or negative 10. So how about on item 3 and 4? So let's try to evaluate the item 3 and 4, the expression on item 3 and 4. Given that a is equal to 5, or 12 rather, and b is equal to 5 and c is equal to 13. So let's try to evaluate a squared plus b squared. So what do you think is the answer? Okay, the answer would be 169 because given the value of a is 12 and the square of 12 is 144 plus the value of b, which is 5, and the square of 5 is 25. So 144 plus 25, that would result to 169. So how about for item number 4? So given the expression c squared minus b squared, what do you think is the answer? Okay, the answer is 144 because given the value of c, which is 13, and the square of 13 is 169, minus b, which is 5, and the square of 5 is 25, that would result to 144 because 169 minus 25 is 144. So the skills that you have shown in this bell ringer is useful on our discussion for this afternoon. So let us try our discussion. We have here given right triangle with the sides of 3, 4, and 5. So if we were going to find the square of each side, literally we will be having this square here, and for the square of 5 we have this square. So to find the square of each side, just count the total square tiles on each side. So if we were going to count that, for the square of 3, the total is 9 square tiles or square units, and for the square of 4, we have a total of 16 square tiles or square units, and for the square of 5, a total of 25 square tiles or square units. So that means that the square of 3 is 9, and the square of 4 is 16, and the square of 5 is 25. So what do you think, what can you notice if we were going to add the two smaller square here? So the square of 3 and then the square of 4. So ito po yung dalawang small square dito. So yung square ng 3 and square ng 4 compare dun sa square ng 5, which is 25. So ano kaya yung mapapansin ninyo or napansin ninyo kung i-add po natin yung dalawang square na maliit? So yung 9 and yung 16. So plus 16. Compare dun sa malaking square. Okay, so kung i-add po natin yung dalawang square na maliit, yung 9 and 16, that would equate to the bigger square, which is 25. So 9 plus 16 is equal to 25. So ibig sabihin na yung dalawang square ng maliit na square ng dalawang maliit na square is equal to the bigger side or the bigger square. Okay, so that is the Pythagorean theorem. So it states that the sum of the squares of the legs of a right triangle are equal to the square of the hypotenuse. So yung hypotenuse natin na tinatawag dito is the longer or the bigger or the biggest side in a right triangle. So yung dalawa namang maliit are called the legs. So ito na po yung kanina na kapag pinag-add po natin yung dalawang square ng maliit na side, mag-i-equate po siya dun sa square ng pinakamalaki or pinakamahabang side. So, this theorem named after a guy back in 500 BC, he is Pythagoras. So, a Greek mathematician and philosopher who discovered this one of the most famous relationship in mathematics. So, Pythagorean theorem. So, meron po siyang equation or formula. Ito po yun. So, a square plus b square is equal to c square. So, ito lang po yung formula ng Pythagorean theorem where c is the hypotenuse. Sabi ko nga kanina, yung longest or biggest side ng right triangle. And then, yung dalawang maliit or smaller side ay ang mga legs. Okay, so these are the steps to solve for a missing side of a right triangle using the Pythagorean theorem. So the first step is write the formula. Second step, we have to substitute known values for the variables. And then third step, we have to solve the missing variable and okay. So given those steps in finding the missing side of a right triangle, let's try it on this example. So given the value 8 feet and 15 feet, let us find the value of x. So what do you think is x here? So is that the legs or the hypotenuse? Okay, so it is the hypotenuse because it is the longest or the bigger side here. So let's try applying the steps. First is write the formula. So the formula is a square plus b square is equal to c square. So given yung dalawang value ng legs, 8 and 15, let us substitute or plug in the lengths of the legs into Pythagorean theorem for the a and b variables. So for the a and b, ito po yung magiging value nila, 8 and 15. So 8 and 15 is equal to c, or still the unknown side. Okay, for step 3, simplify the side without the c by squaring the two numbers and adding them together. So let us try to find the square of 8 and the square of 15. So if we were going to have that, 8 square is 64 and then 15 square is 225. So add 64 plus 225 is 289, still unknown c square. So step 4, solve for c by using the square root. So to get the value of c, we were going to square both sides, 289 and then the c square. So the square root of 289 is 17. So meaning the value of c is 17. So since na yung given na variable dito is hindi naman c, papalitan lang po natin yung c ng variable x. So ibig sabihin, ang missing side or yung value ng hypotenuse is 17. Okay, let's try another example. We have yung given 5 feet and 12 feet. Find the missing side here. So that is the hypotenuse. The longer side here is the hypotenuse. So write the formula. A square plus b square is equal to c square, and then plug in the given values or the known values, which is the two legs a and b. So 5 and 12. So still unknown yung hypotenuse. So get the square of the two legs, 25. 5 square is 25 and 12 square is 144. Okay, so add 25 plus 144 is 169. So to get the value of x, let us square both sides, 169 and then x squared. So we will get x is equal to 13 because the square root of 13 is 169 is 13. So meaning to say that the missing side is equal to 13 feet. Okay, so for number 3, let us have this. Find x and round to the nearest hundred. So given 14 inches, 6 inches, and the missing side. So what do you think is the missing side here? Is it the legs, one of the legs, or the hypotenuse? So that is one of the leg because the hypotenuse is given. So kung dun sa example 1 to 2 natin, yung hinanap natin is the hypotenuse, the value ng hypotenuse. Dito naman, try natin hanapin yung value ng isang leg. So first, write the formula. So formula is a square plus b square is equal to c square, and then step 2, identify the hypotenuse. So yung hypotenuse natin dito is yung longest side or the bigger side, which is 14. And then substitute or plug in the hypotenuse 14 and c for c and the other known measurement 6 for b. So let assume na yung nawawala is a. So kahit aling variable doon gamitin natin, still that's acceptable kasi a or b are two legs. Okay, so for this example, yung substitute natin is on the given or isa-substitute natin yung 6 on the variable b, and then yung hypotenuse natin is 14. So get the square of 6, that is 36, and then 14 square naman is 196. So subtract natin both sides ng 36. So cancel out kasi 36 minus 36 is 0 and 196 is 160. So ibig sabihin a square is 160. So hindi pa tapos. So para makuha natin yung missing side, kailangan natin i-square both sides. So in square both sides, square natin yung a and 160. Ang a is 12.64911. So sabi dito, round to the nearest hundred. So ang answer is 12.65. So ibig sabihin, yung missing length nitong side na to is 12.65 inches. Okay, so that is all for the Pythagorean theorem, the definition and introduction. So we are now on the Pythagorean theorem application. As we all know that Pythagorean theorem is very useful in our real life situation. So isa na nga doon is yung kanina, yung finding the measurement or the sides of a right triangle. So dito naman, meron pa tayong mga useful thing about Pythagorean theorem. So, saan natin ginagamit yung Pythagorean theorem? So, titingnan natin kung saan mga situation, real life situation, magagamit yung Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so we have Pythagorean theorem as it applies to missing side lengths of triangle in a real world problem. Okay, so having this example, a painter leans a 40-foot ladder against the side of a building. The base of the ladder is 12 feet from the building. How far from the bottom of the building is the top of the ladder? So ito yung solution natin. So, given na. So ito yung building, ito yung ladder, and then this is the ground. So let x be the distance of the top of the ladder to the bottom of the building. So ito yung top ng ladder, ito naman yung bottom ng building. So hahanapin natin itong side na to. So what do you think is the missing side? Is it the legs or the hypotenuse? So on this problem, the missing side is one of the legs. So, ibig sabihin, itong 12 feet and 40 feet, isi-substitute natin ito dito sa Pythagorean formula. So, we have a square plus b square is equal to c square. So, given na yung hypotenuse which is 40 feet and then yung one of the legs naman, or sabihin na natin yung b side, yung leg na b variable, substitute natin ng 12 feet. So, ibig sabihin yung hahanapin natin is one of the legs. So, a is unknown, x square. So, get the square of 12 and 40. So, the square of 12 is 144 and the square of 40 is 1,600. So, subtract natin both sides ng 144. Makukuha natin is x square. 1,600 minus 144 is 1,456. So, para makuha natin yung missing side or unknown side, square natin both sides, yung x square and then yung 1,456. So, ang square ng 1,456 is 38.16 feet. So, rounded off to the nearest 100. So, ibig sabihin yung side na to, yung distance ng bottom of the building to the top of the ladder is 38.16 feet. Okay, so let us have another useful thing about Pythagorean theorem. So, saan ulit kung saan pa pwedeng gamitin ang Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so Pythagorean theorem as it applies to distance on a coordinate plane. So, find the length of the segment AB on the coordinate plane. So, we have here the solution. So, let x be the length of the segment AB. So, dito, meron tayo ditong given 3 units and then 6 units. So, those are on both legs. So, yung hahanapin natin is this side which is the hypotenuse. So, let us have the formula. A square plus b square is equal to c square. And then, plug in natin yung mga given values which is 3 units and 6 units. So, dun sa legs. So, get the square of 3 and 6. 3 square is 9. 6 square is 36. So, to get the value of x, we have to square both sides. Square natin yung x square and then square natin yung 45. So, kapag kinuha natin yung square root ng 45, that would result to 6.71 unit, rounded off to the nearest 100. So, mean to say, yung value or measurement ng missing side, which is the hypotenuse, is 6.71 unit. So, another, we have Pythagorean theorem as it applies to the length of a diagonal in a rectangle. So, example, given a rectangle with side lengths of 8 cm and 2 cm as shown, what is the length of the diagonal? So, given itong rectangle dito and meron ditong measurement na 2 cm and then 8 cm. So, titingnan natin or hahanapin natin yung measurement nito or the length of this diagonal here in rectangle. So, ang hahanapin natin is yung hypotenuse or the longest side because 2 and 8 centimeters are the two legs. Okay, we have the solution. Let x be the length of the diagonal. So, given the formula, a square plus b square is equal to c square. So, plug in natin yung mga known values which is 2 and 8 dun sa legs. 2 and 8. So, get the square. 2 square is 4 and then square of 8 is 64. So, add natin 68. So, to get the value of x, square natin both sides. Square natin both sides. That would result to 8.25 cm rounded off to the nearest hundreds. So, that means that the length of the diagonal is 8.25 cm. Okay, so that was my report na po. So here is the reference. So thank you po for listening. So for your quiz, pwede nyo pong i-screenshot or later on po, i-send ko na lang po sa GC natin. Okay? So thank you po for listening, and if you have questions, clarifications, or additional information, free to share po. Thank you.